Hi, I'm Davy. I'm awesome. Welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies that I love, the alternative B-rated cold-style flicks. And oftentimes when they come out with one that I love, they come out with sequels that I don't. This one came out in 1993, 5 years after the original. And it was written and directed by Donald G. Jackson, the original director and writer, and also written by Tanya York. And produced by Scott Pfeiffer, and then made and distributed by York Pictures. Ladies and gentlemen, the sequel to Hell Comes To Frogtown, Return to Frogtown, or Frogtown 2. The copy I have is Return to Frogtown. The movie opens with a line that basically tells you what kind of person wrote this.
All hail the mighty Frogmeister.
Yeah, if that isn't the line written by somebody who watched a few sci-fi movies when they were a kid and went, oh, I can do that, I don't know what it is. Then we see the frogmen, or greeners if you will, shooting at a rocket ranger who gets hit and as going down is getting instructions from a computer system named Fuzzy with the face of Rhonda Shear. Some of you might remember her from back in the day when they had UFC Up All Night, where they basically play the kind of movie that people only watched because it had nudity and then took out that nudity. She hosted that. As far as what that acronym for Fuzzy means, never explains it. It also never explains who was lame enough to come up with the idea of Rocket Rangers. Honestly, that to me sounds like a Nickelodeon cartoon. But Fuzzy tells him that since he can't be up all night, go land in the pond. Because, he's clearly flying. Then we see the Ranger, Ranger Jones, who is played by the original Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, who is easily the biggest star they had in this movie, which shows you how freaking low budget it is. Not to mean, but if your splurge for the movie was getting Lou Ferrigno, it was low budget. And you would think that because he was easily the most expensive guy, he'd be the lead in this movie, but no, he's just a supporting character. This is just leading to the plot because they capture him. This gets reported over to Sam Hell, the main character from the first movie. But in this one, instead of being played by Roddy Piper, he's played by Robert Zadar. Because, they look very much alike. And he's being informed of Ranger Jones being shot down in Frogtown.
That's impossible. Greeners aren't allowed to have guns.
You do remember that in the last movie, you fought in Frogtown against a bunch of Greeners, all of whom had guns. Why is this shocking you?
Here's your new partner, Dr. Spangle.
Sir, ready as ordered.
Yeah, they've met. In the last movie, she was the one in charge of making sure he didn't run off when he was supposed to be impregnating other women because he was one of the very few fertile males in that world. She was played by Sandal Bergman, and at the end of it, they even started dating. Yet they're acting like he doesn't know her, like this is the first time he's meeting her. And now she's played by Denise Duff, who also looks like a spitting image of Sandal Bergman. How low budget was this that you couldn't afford Sandal Bergman? The captain tells them to fly in their Rocket Ranger suits to another Rocket Ranger near Frogtown, a Ranger Stone, where they can drop off their suits and he will give them transportation to get into Frogtown because they don't want the suits being stolen by Greeners. Naturally.
Captain, is that an order?
Wow. Seems like the last movie, Sam Hell has become very okay with authority and following orders. It's almost like he's not the same Sam Hell. It's almost like this is not really a sequel. Not only that, but whereas the last movie, Frogtown, was a post-apocalyptic desert wasteland with abandoned factories and whatnot that they were living out of, this one apparently it's an old western town right next to the forest. Then we go back to Ranger Jones.
I'm Commander Tony.
I thought you were dead.
Oh, well, now it's something that actually happened in the first movie. Commander Toady died. They have Ranger Jones there because they are doing experiments on humans. So they inject him with some green stuff, and we cut back over to Sam and Spangle, arriving in helmets that look like they were inspired by Adam Maitland's scary face in Beetlejuice. They've come to find that Ranger Stone has been abandoned out there by himself. He had no idea that they were coming, but figured they were coming to help him because of the fact that Greeners had invaded his home and jammed the signal, so he couldn't get a hold of anybody. Ranger Stone goes into the story of what happened 4 days prior. I didn't cut it. That's the entire flashback. The next morning, Sam and Spangle head out, and they encounter some greeners. That basically sums up how exciting the action is going to be in this movie. Yeah, normally I see an explosion, I'm like, yeah! But not for that. That explosion sucked. I can't tell if you're alerted by the fact that she's being kidnapped or if you're just like, Spangle, come check this out. The greeners, of course, got away. Very slowly.
Take this prize to Commander Toady.
Could be worse. They could be taking you to Radu. I really hate that I can make that reference. She's taken to Commander Toady.
Strip!
Then she's taken to her cell.
Cover yourself, Dr. Spangle.
So there was absolutely no point to this scene. It was just to get this movie to 90 minutes. Toady goes to get instructions of what to do about Spangle.
Hey, listen, bub. When she's transformed, that tadpole's mine.
Ah, that's what the first movie was missing. Puppets. Sam has to go back to Ranger Stone, who is busy hammering away in a way that is very reminiscent of Andy Samberg hammering away on that engine in Hot Rod. Except that was supposed to be funny.
We got problems.
Yeah, for starters, this movie's still got like another hour. So because that buggy was blown up, the only way for him to get into Frogtown is to use his rocket. But don't worry, he hides it very well. As Sam enters Frogtown, he sees some guards. Must be a very dull sword. Or is it a futuristic weapon? The sword club. They call it the slub. He disguises himself and goes into a little club where we hear some original music specifically written for this movie. But since I care about you guys, I will not play a sample of it. He meets Cloris, the nurse working on Ranger Jones. She buys him a drink. She noticed.
If you don't dance with me, I'll let the soldiers know that there's a human visiting us.
Where's John Travolta when you need him? Not just for his sweet dancing skills, but his worst movie is better than this. Seriously, I think I'd rather watch Broken Arrow. As they dance, she agrees to help him if first he agrees to go back to her place with her.
I've got this thing for humans.
Yeah, but not a whole lot of men would go for the frog women. I mean, this human might. Cloris finally reveals her face, taking off that little mask, and it's also revealing that apparently they only had a very limited budget of frog suits. I mean, most low-budget movies would, just use the same suit for different characters, but here they're just like, slap some face paint on them. She lets on that they are planning to turn humans into greeners, but of course he says that's impossible.
Did you ever hear of Professor Tanzer?
He has, so he begins to give her what she wants, and well, let's just move on. But their little hanky-panky gets interrupted.
You meet again, Sam Ho.
Do I know you?
Might as well not, since we're acting like every little thing that happened that was important in the last movie never happened. While taking him away, a frog soldier comes over to inform Toady that Tsar Frogmeister wants to speak to him.
Tsar Frogmeister. Give me a break.
Oh yeah, that's where this movie gets stupid. Sam gets put in the same cell as Jones.
Don't talk.
And he usually doesn't when he's green. Tsar Frogmeister is angry at Toady that Sam was able to infiltrate Frogtown in the first place.
One more mistake, Commander, and Bull shall have your job.
Even though Bull died in the last movie. Him, they don't even make look like he was, fixed up. They just act like he wasn't run through and killed with a big, huge drill. Jones is becoming more and more of a greener. He gets angry and he's able to break the bars. So apparently he's the Hulk. Okay. When they get outside... Ooh, that was just freaking stupid. Tanzer decides that this is now his chance to escape. Yeah, that was pointless. But lucky for him, the Rocket Rangers came to save him. And luckily for us, this movie has about 30 minutes left. Tanzer says he needs to get his formula out of there. And Cloris even offers to help. Tanzer says this is important because they're planning to make half of New Texas green.
And that's what we shall.
You know, those guns have bullets, they shoot. Maybe you should have used them to shoot him. But apparently they don't know how to use weapons in this. Then again, what would it matter? Because then Toadie would have been back in the next movie and we would have acted like none of this happened. Since Cloris knows how to whip up a batch of the formula, they spare her in order to do that and use it on Sam. And the only person they have guard her is that stupid little puppet, Czar Jr. What exactly did they expect him to do? She frees Sam.
Because I like you.
Cloris, he's just not that into you. They let out Junior and tell him that if he helps them, then Sam will convince the Rocket Rangers to put him in charge of Frogtown, because he believes that Junior is a good guy, and that's the only thing that Frogtown is lacking, is good leadership.
Okay, I'll tell you everything I know.
Well, ain't that nice. Sam sneaks out and sees the same guards that he hit with that slub. Judging with the way that he hit them with that sword earlier, just clubbing them, I'm surprised that rock didn't explode. Sam runs off into the woods. See, I told you, they don't know how weapons work. After a few very pathetic fights. So none of this meant anything. Again, it was just filler to make this movie a little bit longer. But thankfully it's almost over. But now Sam has to get away. But not in a way that would be at all exciting. But luckily, this happens to be near where he stashed his rocket gear. For God's sakes, just progress the frickin' story. They take Sam to be executed with Spangle, Tanzer, and Cloris. But as a test of loyalty, they want Jones to be the executioner. Who the hell didn't see that coming? But still didn't shoot them because apparently in this world, guns are just big clubs. I mean, what the heck? Was the movie so low budget that you only had a certain amount of money to be used for blanks? Not only that, but Ranger Stone shows up. So at least this movie's almost over. And now, they fight! Holy crap, we figured out how these work! Even Spangle gets in on the fight! With skills that rival Ronda Rousey, Tanzer tries to tell the Greeners of Frogtown that Czar Frogmeister is a fake!
I will prove it to you!
Don't feel bad for him. He was in this movie, which means he was already dead inside. Sam makes it to the Czar Frogmeister! So there you go, kids. If you ever are confronted by a guy with a big-ass machine gun, just give him a little nudge. Then Sam and Toadie have a final showdown. Or at least another one, since we had that in the last movie. And they have a sword fight that basically makes the sword fight scene in Samurai Cop look like the frickin' Matrix. If you've seen Samurai Cop, that joke is brilliant. Unfortunately for Toadie, Sam was able to find a sword that this time was actually capable of cutting something. Sam gets back to Czar Frogmeister, who by now remembers he has a big frickin' gun. But Czar Frogmeister is distracted by Junior.
Hey, get your hand off that trigger!
You know, if you had pulled that trigger, the movie would just be over now. I mean, sure, it would have had a bad ending, but then again, would there be a good ending for this movie? Any ending at this point would be a good ending for this movie. But instead, now we've got another 7 long minutes. And now we finally see Czar Frogmeister.
I wanted a world where everyone was green.
Sure. Now...
Rangers, get back!
Well, at least it's over. But don't worry, after the denouement, they decide to explain this.
I still don't understand how two people could be so different. Professor Tanzer and his twin brother.
Yeah, but hey, at least we got a good movie, right? So there you have it. That's the follow-up to Hell Comes to Frogtown. Return to Frogtown. Also released as Frogtown 2. This movie's awful. Granted, I'll give you this. The original Hell Comes to Frogtown wasn't exactly an Oscar-worthy movie. It was bad. But it was one of those that was so bad it was good. This one, it's just bad. I don't have a lot of facts about it. There really isn't much to find. I had to scour the internet looking for some facts. And I could only find a couple. Number one, on IMDb, it has one factoid. That when being asked about why he wasn't in this movie, Roddy Piper said that he was just too busy with his wrestling career. I don't really believe that. I think he just read the script. The other thing we were able to find out was it was filmed at Paramount Ranch. I mean, the first one was a guerrilla picture, so they were filming in locations without permits and stuff like that. This one, I guess they decided to just film somewhere. But they could have picked something that looked at least similar to the first one. It has no box office to speak of, considering it's a straight-to-video release. And as far as the budget, again, I scoured, I couldn't find it. I'm guessing $11 and a free Lunchable for the entire cast. I remember I liked Hell Comes to Frogtown. I really did. Yes, it was silly. Yes, it was definitely a B movie. But in my opinion, it was an interesting story that was pulled off well. Just silly. And it was fun. This one, I was excited to see it, and then I'm like, what the hell is this? It is in almost no way canon to the first movie. In fact, the only way it is connected to the first movie is Frogtown and the names of the characters. That's it. They don't follow any of the continuity of the story. Toady died at the end. Heck, even in this movie at one point they talk about how he thought Toady was dead, and talking about it was very clear, like, okay, that's not what happened in the last movie. Sam Hell, in no way, shape, or form, was played the same way that Roddy Piper had played him. And I'm okay with an actor taking their own spin on something, but you kind of have to stay true at least a little bit to the original character. This one was two completely different characters. The first one, it was a rebellious hero who really is just being sucked into this, even though he doesn't want to be a hero. He's that loose cannon that nobody wants to be the hero because he plays by his own rules. And this one, it's a guy who's like, hey teacher, can I get some extra credit? The fact that Sam Hell was introduced to Spangle, despite the fact in the first movie, they knew each other quite a bit. It was dumb. And then again, just no consistency. Bull is in this movie, despite the fact that he was killed in the last movie. But at least with Toady, they had the mechanics and stuff all over him, so it made it look like that his life was somehow saved. Bull, they just act like nothing happened. And what's craziest about that to me is usually when that happens, when they take a B movie, make a sequel to it, and the sequel clearly has nothing to do with the other one, a big reason for that is because nobody who was involved in the first one is involved in this one. The director, Donald G. Jackson, was also the co-writer of the first movie. Yet he couldn't make a sequel that was consistent with his own frickin' movie? As far as the concept of being so bad it's good, again, I don't think it is. It's not so bad that it's good, it's just bad. However, there is one way that I feel you can enjoy this movie. If you watch it by yourself, even if you're quippy, you're going to get bored. I've heard people say that it's fun when they're drunk. I wouldn't know about that, but I guess that could make it fun. My way of having fun with this movie is sit down with other people like me who are very good at riffing movies, and I basically enjoy all of us sitting there riffing this movie. That's really the only way I can imagine having fun with it. So my recommendation is just that. If you like Hell Comes to Frogtown, I don't recommend seeing this unless you're going to sit around with a group of people and insult it. Then you might have some fun. So there you have it. That's my movie review this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications when I post the videos, and leave a comment I can respond to in my next comment corner. Love you guys.